can't tell you how many people have told me to react to this Meghan and Harry documentary. I'm on vacation. I finally finished all 6 episodes. Here's what I think. I think we have to start from understanding 2 truths. The first is somebody in the majority cannot weigh in on the experience of somebody in the minority. I can't sit here as a white guy that lives in Denver, Colorado, and evaluate whether or not Meghan experienced racism when she was part of the family. I think we need to operate from a place of belief. If she's complaining about it, if she's expressing it, if she has changed her whole family dynamic because of it, I think we have to assume that it's true. The second truth is this documentary was made in partnership with Meghan and Harry's production company. There's 6 hours of content. I can't think of a single time in that 6 hours when Meghan made a mistake, when Meghan looked bad, when Meghan was painted in anything other than the most favorable light. On Prince Harry's end, I think just one time he said he made a mistake, and even his recognition of that mistake made Meghan look good. So this is not a fair and balanced documentary. Without question, all 6 episodes were about setting the record straight in favor of Meghan and Harry. So with all that being said, in this video, I want to talk about why I think they left the family, why some people dislike Meghan, what is she doing that makes people dislike her, and I want to evaluate their relationship. So first, why did they leave the family? I think there's a lot of reasons here. On Harry's side, I think it all goes back to his childhood and kind of the environment he grew up in, right? He had a strong relationship with his mother who didn't like the paparazzi, who was kind of abused by the paparazzi. He was unable to protect her, and his father did nothing to protect her. The institution did nothing to protect her. And as a consequence, she died. He lost his mom because of that. And I think that he looks at that like with anger towards the institution, and I think anger towards his father for sort of being impotent in his ability to protect the family. And so what Prince Harry is doing here is standing up as a strong man and supporting his wife. And so his wife is upset, his wife is frustrated, his wife is being mistreated, and so he is stepping up to protect her. And I think that no matter what she would have asked of him, he would do it. And in many ways, I admire that. I think he is doing what he genuinely thinks is best for his wife and for his children. Now, on Meghan's side, I think there was 2 issues. The first is she really struggled with the negativity that came from the paparazzi. I think it's an important distinction to make that she struggled with the negativity, not the spotlight. The narrative here is, I think that she's trying to promote is she just wanted some privacy and it was too much. But the reality is that she was an actress before hooking up with Prince Harry. When she first joined the family, she was very intentional about traveling internationally. She's publishing cookbooks. She is, she's sitting on panels. She was very comfortable in the spotlight. She was just not comfortable with being told to be quiet. She wasn't comfortable with the criticism of her taking up too much space. It was the negativity that led to the friction. I think it's an important distinction to make because I think it explains why when they left the family that they moved eventually to Beverly Hills, right? If she's trying to avoid the spotlight, she may have moved to the worst place. But if her goal was to maintain her time in the spotlight, just keep it positive, she might move to Beverly Hills and do an interview with Oprah and then create a Netflix documentary, all in an effort to improve her brand. The second issue for Meghan relates to mental health, which I feel like isn't being talked about enough. In her interview with Oprah, she talked about having suicidal ideation, and then again in this documentary, she discussed it again. And it seems like if you look back at sort of the timeline here, Meghan was viewed very favorably by the media until she was on that trip in Africa, and she was asked, "How are you doing?" And she said, "I'm not doing well." I think that was the first time, at least that I'm aware of somebody in the family not just playing the game with the media, not just acting like it was perfect. It was the first time that someone had said, "Hey, I am distressed." And the media reacted very negatively towards that, as though the media's expectation was, we get to film your life, but you have to maintain a fake life for us. And she was authentic about her distress, which, by the way, I think was clearly impacted by her pregnancy, by having miscarried, by, I'm assuming, postpartum depression. There's a lot of things going on for her, and there just wasn't the infrastructure or the space for her to be treated properly. And in many ways, I think the way the media treated Meghan in that phase of her life was representative of how society treats women in that phase of their life, right? Like, if you look at child rearing, we talk about how wonderful it is, how it's the most powerful experience, and how everybody's overjoyed when they have kids. And we're right. And the reality is that it can be an incredibly painful and distressing period for young parents, right? If you go Google what is the rate of postpartum depression, you will find that it's like 10 or 15%. If you go ask your OBGYN what the percentage is, they will tell you it is much higher than that. I believe there is this sort of silent distress that happens on the part of young parents that just no one is comfortable talking about. And instead of leaning into that, the media and the institution, I think, isolated Meghan for experiencing it. Okay, so why do some people dislike Meghan? In preparation for this video, I looked it up. In the US, 80% of the population is on Meghan's side, and in the UK, about 80% of the population is on the side of the monarchy. In the US, we don't understand the value of the institution. We don't understand why this relationship between the media and the monarchy exists, and so it seems easy to side with Meghan. And on the part of the British, they understand this relationship, they value this relationship, and so Meghan's decision to push back, to not play the game, I think is exceptionally frustrating. I think that's probably a big reason why Meghan and Harry moved to the US and not somewhere else. All right, that being said, I must admit that when I watched the documentary, I found myself quickly disliking both Meghan and Harry. I thought it was chock full of... I thought it lacked all sincerity, right? It was just them. It was just woe is me. It was overly dramatic, overly affected, overly emotional. Just sort of this, it was just full of overtures about what the institution had missed and all the value she would have brought. The perfect scene was when they did the same scene with Oprah. It's them feeding the chickens and the whole family's in there and they're walking together and releasing the chickens, and then they're in the garden or on the grass and they're kicking a ball around, and there's the grandma's there and Meghan's there and Harry's there and Archie's there and the dog's running, and it's just this overly curated fake image of this family, and it just makes me feel like I can't trust anything that they're saying. If I was producing this documentary, I would have told them that they have to be real, they have to make mistakes, they have to be relatable. Otherwise, they just seem like this artificial picture of a family. I also think, speaking of the difference between the way the US views this versus the UK, I also don't think that Meghan, at least now, shows enough deference for the family, especially in front of her husband. I didn't like her making fun of the curtsy. I didn't like her making fun of the polished dress. I didn't like her making fun of the pomp and circumstance. I think that's a big part of who her husband is and what the family represents. And I think there's a piece of her that is too comfortable pushing back on that long-held institution. I think if you asked someone in Britain what they thought of Meghan, I think they would say that she comes across like a diva. Like she wants too much attention. She's too quick to share her thoughts and opinions. She takes up too much space. She doesn't know her sort of order in the hierarchy of that family, right? All those things I think created friction, and I think are more in alignment with kind of American values, but I don't know that they're in alignment with the values of the royal family. All right, let's talk about the relationship between Meghan and Harry. Everything that we have seen paints the perfect picture. It's this idyllic image of a doting husband and a loving wife and the perfect kids and the perfect dog and the perfect grandma, and I don't believe any of that because it just doesn't seem sincere to me. But I also can't tell you that it's not true. I just don't trust it. But what I can tell you is from a psychological standpoint, and I mentioned this after the interview with Oprah, I am concerned about their relationship in like 5 or 10 years. In an effort to support Meghan, Harry gave up everything. I mean, he gave up everything. He gave up his family, he gave up his friends, he gave up his career, he left it all and moved to the United States in an effort to take care of Meghan. And I think right now that feels like his purpose. I think that feels like a mission he is on, and he's going to execute that mission. I wonder if in 5 or in 10 years, if he's going to look around and be like, what did I do? What did I give up? What am I doing now? If he doesn't find a purpose here in the US, if he doesn't find happiness and long-term satisfaction, if he doesn't engage in society in a way that is fulfilling to him, I think he's going to be exceptionally frustrated. And my fear would be that this would lead to contempt, the contempt of Meghan, because she has taken so much from him. That, I think, is the biggest challenge kind of on the horizon. So those are my thoughts. Let me know what you think in the comments below.